Finally, we have more information on the Nintendo Switch 2. Now, Nintendo did kind of cave to the leaks a little bit earlier this year and did kind of give us just a fine. Here it is. Here's what it is. We're not gonna really tell you too much about it. Here's what it looks like. It's gonna play games. Cool. Okay, bye. But they finally released the Direct today to actually show us what capabilities that the Switch 2 has, and a lot of leaks were confirmed. But there's also a couple things that not a lot of people are too happy of, specifically the price and the price of games. But we'll get into that. So they announced that not only will it play games, it will use electricity to play those games. Obviously, being the Switch's successor, it's going to carry over a lot of these same features that the Switch has. You know, 2 controllers to connect on the sides. You can play at tabletop. But one of the first things they showcase is how big the screen is now. The Switch 2 has a 7.9-inch display compared to the Switch 1's 6.2-inch display. And, you know, 7.9 inches isn't actually that big. I mean, some people might even say that 7.9 inches is, I don't know, maybe too big. I'm sure a 6.2-inch would, please most people. I mean, I think you're a little bit greedy if you want a 7.9-inch display. The display now is 1080p instead of 720p. And obviously being 7.9 inches, it's going to look a lot better. In handheld mode on the Switch 1, when it first came out, wasn't too bad. But after 10 years, playing Breath of the Wild 2 on there just kind of felt, it kind of lived in the dock for me, at least. They also announced that it'll now support 120 FPS in handheld mode instead of just being capped at 60. As we all know, the Nintendo's kind of behind in hardware, so I'm not even sure many games will even get up to 120, but I'm happy now that if it happens, possibly, that it'll be able to display it on the Switch. They also said that it has a vivid LCD display. Wait, didn't you guys just have an OLED Switch? What do you mean vivid LCD? Yeah, so it's an LCD screen. They do have HDR support on it. You know, they're like, hey, I know it's an LCD, even though we just gave you an OLED screen, but it has HDR. So look, it looks good. Comparative to OLED, it's not going to look as good. I'm sorry. It just boggles my mind that the successor to the Switch, which already has an OLED screen if you have the current gen model, is now getting an LCD display. A little weird, but I kind of understand it. They're probably going to have a Switch 2 Pro with an OLED, but just kind of sucks that we're getting an LCD display this far into 2025. What's kind of bothering me, though, is the bezels do look a little big. Like, I mean, again, comparing this to the OLED Switch, which at this point, I would think that they would model the Switch 2 after, you know, like, because that's the best model currently for the Switch. I mean, the OLED Switch has like no bezels and it looks really cool. This one though does have bezels. Now, obviously it's not the biggest issue on planet Earth, but I would have liked to see them at least work on the display a little bit more. And then when they announced the size of the larger storage, it went up incrementally, and it did eventually land on 64. I mean, because they're just flashing numbers, you know, showing how big it is compared to the Switch 1. I thought it was going to say 64, and I was going to lose my fucking mind. I'm like, no way, it's been 10 years since the Switch. You guys only give us double. But they announced that it's going to have 256, which is really cool, except a lot of games now are about 60 gigs, so you're only going to be able to hold like 5 on there. I mean, that is a lot of games, but, you know, obviously you are still going to need the expandable storage, which is still a thing, luckily. And I've seen a lot of people complain about the expandable storage. With the Switch 2, you will no longer be able to use standard micro SD cards. Instead, they're opting for micro SD Express, which essentially is like an M.2 SSD in a micro SD form factor. People are really complaining about this because obviously with micro SD just being around for so long, they've gotten super cheap. I mean, you can get a 256 gigabyte micro SD standard for like $20 on Amazon, right? But a micro SD Express of the same size is about $50 to $60. And I've also seen a post comparing this to the Vita and saying that it has the probability to fail because if you don't remember, the Vita wouldn't let you use regular micro SD. You actually had to use proprietary cards. I don't even think they were micro SD. I'm pretty sure they were just proprietary cards developed by Sony. This is not the same at all. This is a newer technology that over time is going to get cheaper. Not only that, if you buy a micro SD Express, you can use it on other things. You can use it on your computer. If you have an Android, you can use it on there. It's not just for the Switch. The Vita's problem was that you could only use it for the Vita. This is not the same situation. The whole point of this is going to be games are going to load faster. Games load really fucking slow on the Switch. Not that slow, but essentially you're comparing a hard disk to an SSD. Obviously the SSD is going to be more expensive, but you're going to load in the games like that, especially with games like Mario Kart World, which is the new Mario Kart that they teased when they first showed off the Switch. Didn't really give up a little information on it. But now we know Mario Kart World is the new Mario Kart that will be launching alongside the Switch, which is really fucking cool. Mario Kart World looks really fucking awesome. You're gonna have an open world option to where you can literally drive from map to map and just explore the whole world. I think that's fucking sick. One thing I am concerned about, though, is with that, are we going to have older maps come in, you know, through DLC or something? I would imagine they would, but it's like Mario Kart 8 just is the best collection of maps, my personal opinion, for Mario Kart. I really hope that we're not just going to lose a lot of those, you know, remastered maps just because of this form factor and the way that they want to do Mario Kart World. They announced so many characters, it's kind of like Smash Ultimate, but for Mario Kart, including the cow. You can play as the cow now from Moo Moo Meadows. It's fucking sick. And you can wall ride in go on rails and ropes and stuff like that. So that is going to add a lot of more versatile ways to traverse the maps in Mario Kart. So I'm super excited for that. And they also announced that games will be backwards compatible. You will be able to directly just put your card into Switch 2 and play it. A lot of people are complaining that Switch 2 versions of games are going to cost money to upgrade to, because they did showcase that some older games will receive an upgrade on at 1080p, 4K, higher FPS, and higher resolution, like the Breath of the Wild Tears of the Kingdom upgrade. Now, that led a lot of people to think that just playing the Switch 1 games on the Switch 2 was going to cost money, which is not the case at all. I don't know where that started. I mean, it's fairly obvious that that would be the case, that in order to upgrade to the newer version of the game, you'd have to pay some prices. I'm not defending that. I think it's kind of shitty, but I do understand why, especially because, you know, you are paying for the software that they added to be able to do that. It's pretty much a remaster, right? It's like, it's not that crazy. Now, what is crazy about games is the fact that they are going to be $80 digitally and $90 physically. I'll correct myself if I'm wrong on the physical, but what the fuck? They already got moved from 60 to 70, and that's why I pirate all of my shit. And now you're telling me I have to pay an additional $10 Nintendo tax? Are you fucking serious? This is why I'm going to be buying 2 of these, and the second this thing gets homebrewed, I am selling the other one. 60's already crazy. 70's preposterous. 80 is like, why? Why? Especially because Nintendo is known for having kind of visuals when it comes to their games. Now, that's usually not a problem because their stuff is cheaper, but now it's more expensive. So you're telling me that the PS3 and Xbox 360 had games this beautiful, and you're pushing out games like this for $80? Fuck off. I swear to God, though, if Elden Ring comes out and it's $80 for the Switch, I'm going to lose my mind. You know, if you want to have your exclusives cost that much, go fuck right ahead. I don't really care. Whatever, fine. It's your game. But if you're going to make older games or even other people's games cost $80, I'm going to fucking strangle you. I swear to God. FromSoft's new exclusive is going to be on the Switch too, which is a little bit crazy. I understand Bloodborne was on the PlayStation originally, so it's not that wild, but like, these are big ass games that are coming to the Switch, which I think is really important for Nintendo, because hope to God this doesn't end up like the Wii U. Another thing too is people were talking about the Switch 2 game card. Now, Nintendo announced that they would have game key cards, which wouldn't have the full game data on them. You would have to download them later. This isn't a surprise. This was already on the Switch 1 with games like LA Noire. I believe Doom also had this. A couple other games where just you're not going to fit the whole thing on that small card, and they just and I'm not defending this. This is a shitty practice. It's stupid how you can buy a physical thing and then it not have the actual game on it. People are posting this and reacting to it as if this is just how every game is going to be, comparing it to the Xbox One's DRM. No, this is just for larger games, on top of the fact that you can just buy it digitally. How game key cards work is you insert the game, and obviously you have to download before you play, and that an internet connection is required when you first launch the game, but after that it can be launched offline, which does kind of suck. It's kind of stupid. It is a form of DRM, which I do agree is dumb. I mean, having to download it anyway, you would already have an internet connection, so it's not the biggest deal in the world, but after that it'll just function normally like a regular physical game. It's dumb, but it's not Xbox One DRM stupid. And people are talking about like, oh well, how do you trade the game and stuff? And it's like, well, you still can. These are still 100% tradable. Well, these aren't locked to your Switch. It's just a key that allows you to download it from their server. Again, I'm not defending it. It's stupid, but it's not as crazy as everyone's saying it is. And I mean, what did you expect? That, Elden Ring was going to fit on a game cartridge? Little redundant to say because Cyberpunk's going to fit on there. But there's also a hardware demo that kind of shows you around the Switch. This is a game that is going to cost money. It's called the Nintendo Switch Welcome Tour. It's a digital only game that you have to pay for, which kind of just shows you how to use the Switch. Why do I have to pay for this? Feels like a thing that should just be included in the Switch. If not, why the fuck did you make this? The issue with the Switch and just new consoles in general is scalpers. People using bots or just, being dickheads and buying all of them up before anyone who actually is going to use them can get them. In order to combat this, Nintendo has used a sophisticated system in order to block people from scalping Switches. This includes only giving you an invite to pre-order it from their website if you have a 50 hours of gameplay on your Switch 1 account, which is, it's been out for 10 years. You should be able to get 50, not too bad. And if you've consistently paid for 2 years of Nintendo Switch Online, I think from last month. I don't pay for online. I paid for online when Smash came out, because obviously, but now that no one plays on the Switch anymore, there's no need for me to buy a Switch Online at all. So the fact that if I want one from Nintendo, I'm gonna have to do that, it's kind of fucking stupid. Now, yes, you can buy them from fucking Best Buy, Walmart, whatever. It's not like you can only get them from Nintendo, but I just think that this is just the stupidest way to even do this. The 50 hours makes sense, sure, yeah, whatever, but the Switch Online need is just kind of like, all right, dude, what the fuck? Also, if you're in a family plan, the person who owns the family plan is going to be first come, first serve on the invite to purchase one. So like if you family share with your friends or something, or, you know, even family across the US, and they own the account, guess you're just shit out of luck unless you want to go to Best Buy, which kind of fucking sucks. That's a little bit stupid. The Joy-Cons, they're now actually made for your hands instead of a 2-year-old child's hands. Yeah, they announced that the shoulder buttons without the little strap-on thing, pause, they're actually going to be bigger. So you're actually going to be able to press them with your fingers instead of having to use like tweezers to press them when you're trying to play in handheld mode. And I guess Nintendo figured out how to use the EQ on their device, because instead of saying that they just have better speakers, they said that they've adjusted the mixing of the audio so it's like clearer now.
By adjusting the audio balance between the ranges, sounds from the built-in speakers are clearer and more natural in handheld and tabletop modes.
I started mixing and mastering because I could not afford mixing and mastering. I'm not paying someone $2,000 a song to make my shit sound like ass. I'll make it sound like ass myself for free. So like now that I do it and I've been doing it for years, I know what I'm doing with it.
Is a really odd way to announce that. Like, we figured out that you can actually adjust the levels on certain frequencies. They also announced that it has a built-in mic now for game chat, and it does look like, yeah, they will have parties now, which is cool. Instead of the sorry excuse for multiplayer chat with the Nintendo app on the phone that Nintendo's had for pretty much the entire Switch's lifetime, if you've ever actually tried to use game chat or talk to people using the Switch, it's kind of fucking impossible. You kind of just have to use Discord, and you know, that it's just annoying. I like that. I like it. It's cool. I just don't like having microphones on the device like that. So like the PS5 controller having a microphone on that I had to figure out how to turn off automatically. You know, when you're playing COD and you start crying because you're losing, it's really embarrassing when the other enemy team can hear you because you forget that the controller has a microphone on it. So they also announced a second USB port. So now when you're using it in tabletop mode, you can actually charge it. If you've ever used a Switch before, having it on the bottom is kind of fucking insane. You just cannot charge and play it in tabletop mode at the same time. You'd have to buy a stand or use some weird workaround. Now you can use that second port on top, which is just like whoa. They also announced that this can also be used for cameras. So with the built-in mic and the additional camera, Jerkmate Ranked will be coming to the Switch too. Obviously not. Shut up. They also announced that any webcam will be usable. You don't have to buy theirs. And that's cool because theirs is $50. And in the presentation, you can see the camera lagging. So it's not that great of a camera. And I wasn't expecting one. I'm just really happy that they're not locking that down to their proprietary camera because it fucking sucks. Also announced that it will support 4K alongside with its new 4K dock. And they show the dock. I don't really know. I don't really like how it looks. It kind of looks like those like 1950s fridges. It just has that weird round design. I like the box. I don't know why. Especially with like the PS5 and the Xbox, they have sharp edges. It's kind of weird to have this have like such a round design. I don't know. But they also said that it's gonna have really good ventilation. I don't know why they even spent time on showing. It's like, yeah, I know it's gonna vent the Switch. I mean, is anyone not expecting that? I mean, I didn't think that putting my Switch in the dock was just gonna fry it immediately. I don't fucking know. I am slightly disappointed in some of the features with the Switch. I probably still will be pre-ordering it probably from Best Buy because no, I didn't fucking pay for Nintendo Switch Online. That's the Switch 2. I'm excited. Are you excited? If you are, leave a comment down below. Leave a comment down below. Leave a comment down below if you're excited. Press that like button, guys. Smash that like button, guys. And I'll see you guys later. I forgot to say I love you. I'm sorry.
Fucking dumb.